What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you, and another one to round out this week. We decided to, well, delve into the underground and find some absolutely disgusting filth. And, well, we found some disgusting filth from Ohio, where filth tends to grow a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of filth here.
And corn.
I would not call this a clean state.
So we are going over the latest offering from Abraded. Ethereal Emanations from Cthonic Caries. I have no idea what that means. I know a person named Carrie. It's not spelled that way. Whatever.
I also know a person named Carrie.
It's also not spelled that way.
It's also not spelled that way. That's weird.
Anyway, this also comes out on the 26th of September on Redefining Darkness Records. This band formed in 2018 in Cleveland, Ohio. This is their third album overall. I got into them with their self-titled debut. And we also saw this band at MDF over at the Soundstage, where a band like this would fucking absolutely thrive. And did. And this is caveman death metal meets grindcore. It's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of the grind. And this is going to be gross and dumb. And that's exactly what I was shooting for with this band.
I got into them pretty much the same way with their self-titled debut. And then, yes, we saw them at MDF 2025. And, I mean, these guys are pretty much what you just said. Gross and unhinged and crazy and all the things that make death metal wonderful.
And this shit is raw. Like, this is absolutely disgusting production on here. Stylistically, again, like, you know, switching back and forth between grindcore fits and, like, just ooga booga caveman death metal. Like, it's slow and swampy 1 second, and then a violent shit fit the next. This is the ooga that boogas in the night. This is also for people that might think that, you know, Sanguisugabog is slightly too cerebral for them now. And they need something extra primal on there, so we threw in grind, and now it's just raging stupid. And honestly, it's kind of a way to make it even more primal, because this is just, like, unhinged, like, to the point where it almost feels like it's stream of consciousness. Like, the music kind of just goes where their thoughts take them, and it's to the most disgusting open sores of the planet.
And the vocals are pretty wild as well, and unhinged would be a word you could use. They go from like a howling dog that like stepped on a thorn to like a wild maniac roaming the streets of New York City just screaming to himself. And it comes at you from all angles too. The vocals swirl and you're like, what in the hell?
I do think there's like some panning effects occasionally with the vocals, because it does feel like the vocals kind of go back and forth. Like, it's very, like, disorienting at times. Like, it sounds like a feral pig running wild through the sewers of Cleveland, which, you know what? Cleveland might actually have that going on right now. I've been there. It's, you know, it's Cleveland. But I gotta say, with all this, like, caveman death metal quality, like, it is lumbering and disgusting heavy. The guitars are just gross sounding. It has that lumbering quality, but it moves very erratically. And I gotta say, like, it's kind of smart. It's smart about being dumb. And, you know, like, it kind of contrasts that whole caveman thing with, like, really clever drum work, first off. Like, the drum work on here is, you know, crazy and, like, off-kilter as it might sound, is really fucking tight.
Blasty, tribal grooves, wild turnovers. It's dialed in at the same time. Like, as unhinged and as crazy as this is, it never really goes off the rails, even though you'd think it would, because something with this description of being a grindy ooga booga band, you're just like, what? How does that work out?
Songs like Euroboric Incest, I don't know what that is, but it sounds gross, and Theodicy, you know what? I don't know how to say that word. Either way, both these songs show off a lot of, like, clever drum work, a lot of really interesting transitions in Theodicity or Theodicity, whatever it is. Either way, last song on there, it has a lot of interesting movements, especially in the drums. That you get, like, really cool tribal rhythms, some awesome off-time stuff. Even the blast beat pattern that shows up later in, like, the more grindy sections, it's a little bit off. Like, it's not just straightforward. Like, there's this sort of, like, skittering, almost like ghost note effect on the snare. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of Cephalic Carnage in terms of, like, being, you know, just a little bit off-kilter, a little bit weirder.
And, in all honesty, it's surprisingly catchy. Once your ears adjust to how noisy this record is, because there's a constant like din, like a static hiss or like white noise almost, like
You can
static
hear
from a
it,
television.
yeah. And like the breakdown sections where it's just empty. You're
Yeah. You know, like, god damn. Once your ears adjust to that, it is surprisingly catchy. There's a multitude of riffs all over this record. Now, granted, they're not very intricate, but they are ooga booga, and there is some melody to them. Songs like Collectivized Enmeshment, Mass Formation Psychosis, and Chthonic Caries, which is part of the title. Those songs in particular, those riffs stand out on their own. Like, there's always like some cool descending riff pattern going on, or it's a catchy, gnarly tremolo, but like, it makes these songs kind of stand out, again, when you think they wouldn't, based on these descriptors.
Yeah, there's some sick, like, death metal tremolos that show up on Menticide or Compensatory Contrarianism, which has, like, again, another cool tribal start, but that gets into, like, these just swampy, gross, thick, disgusting death metal riffs. And then, again, transitions into grindcore. Like, it almost sounds like this is, like, you know, Sanguisugabog covering, like, Brutal Truth or like Repulsion at points. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff in here that kind of reminded me a bit of Ed Gein. But I will admit the production is something to really get used to.
It is.
It's got a lot of reverb, but it's not big open room reverb. It's small room reverb. It's clatter.
It's like old basement bathroom reverb. Like they crammed the entire band into this super small space, and they said, "All right, go for it." And then they turned the reverb up to 12, and they were like, "All right, go." And you're just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, no baffles on the wall. They just like strip the linoleum and put it up there. It's like, man, that's horrible. And it also smells like mold and piss in here now. Like, that's perfect for the atmosphere. Keep playing, grindcore monkey. But honestly, like, the production kind of fits the vibe in here. Like, this is just unruly, loud, unpredictable at times. Like, the transitions come at you at, like, light speed. They're not always, like, the smoothest, but that kind of clunkiness, it makes it sound like an unhinged live performance. Like, I could see this band playing live virtually anywhere. Like, you know, not just venues, like playing like a 5-year-old's fucking birthday party and then like stage diving right under the fucking, you know, sheet cake and then playing their entire set inside of a fucking bounce house filled with pee and vomit.
Sounds like my 5th birthday party.
Your 5th birthday party sounded pretty awesome.
It was pretty rad. I was the talk of the town.
Overall, like, I would say like the vibe of this album definitely, it feels like a death metal album, but I don't know, like I think it fits more like under like deathgrind, but again, it's like a very unhinged version of it. Like, nothing feels straight ahead on here, and I don't know, I kind of like that. They do get into some good riffy breakdowns every now and then, and it comes at like, you know, important points because, you know, you need some anchor points on here because like this album is fucking stimming at all times, and like, you know, a couple of groovy breakdowns, a couple of like just, you know, more straightforward riffs, those do help because the rest of this can be just absolute fucking mayhem. Now, that really isn't like a big complaint. In fact, I think that kind of like makes this, I don't know, like even more fun to listen to overall. My only like real complaint, all right, some of the vocals do get like a little one note, like it's the same, like over and over again. They're kind of funny, well, especially when, you know, he decides to hawk a loogie directly at you or, you know, like almost barf. Those are kind of fun. It contributes to the atmosphere. But one thing, like, I could barely hear the bass, and like even in like the open sections, like I think towards the end of the album, there was a breakdown where I could really hear the bass for like the first time.
The last track.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounded, you know, predictably like a damp fart, but that's kind of what would fit there. But yeah, there's points in here where I think like hearing a little bit of the bass in here, like, you know, some more open sections would be nice.
Well, you can hear it, but you can't. It's weird to say, but like you can hear that there's a low end. Like I definitely heard it. You can hear the bass in the sense that, like, you know, if you're sitting next to the speaker, you can just hear that tone, but there's no notes like associated with it. It's there in a weighty presence, but not in a, you know, a sonic presence. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird. You can hear it, but you can't.
Yeah, like I can't hear it being played, but there's definitely low end there. But again, with like how like condensed this is, like not just in terms of runtime, because this is only like 25 minutes, but in terms of the sound, like it's everyone competing for space inside of like a phone booth's fucking like
Kind of, yeah.
you know, space worth of sound here. But for the most part, I gotta say it kind of works, and you know, you get kind of a vastly different sound live because, well, the room's bigger. But overall, I enjoyed this, and I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Pretty solid 3. This is grimy, filthy, unpredictable, violent. You know, maybe a little bit smart, maybe a little bit stupid. Definitely fucking heavier than hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you know, brimming with disgusting riff after disgusting riff. Crazy drum performance. The drum performance is probably the thing that I really enjoyed the most, because this dude is just going at it. And again, like, it's sneaky clever. Like, you get some cool off-time rhythms and such. The tribal patterns are really clever. But when it comes down to, like, just the blunt force trauma of all this, like, aggro riffing, like, yeah, no, this is fucking disgusting. If you're a big fan of bands like Cephalic Carnage, God, man, like Burnt by the Sun, if they were a grindcore band, Ed Gain, Brutal Truth, and, you know, like a little bit of, like, you know, The Bog and 200 Stab Wounds kind of all whirled together. Check this out. This was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3 as well. I will say that for this record, being as unhinged as it is still savage. Like, there's a lot of savage riffing going on in there. It's extremely heavy at times. Once again, for those that know me, I'm a sucker for low tremolos, and there's that littered throughout here. But the fact that it goes between this ooga booga caveman stomp that's in most of these songs, it's just as equally unhinged with grindy shit fits. But the combination of those two things, done with how raw and kind of gnarly the production is, it somehow works. It's like caveman grind. That's kind of what's going on here. I mean, again, I kind of wish that it hadn't taken so long for my ears to adjust to the sound. Because I'll be honest, in the song Menticide, it was so jumbled and crazy that it was hard to concentrate in the beginning. I was just like, I'm not sure what's happening here. And then as my ears zoned in on the riff, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then it kind of allowed the rest of the record to open up for me. But if you're not used to hearing things like that and used to listening to bands all the time where you got to give yourself a minute to adjust to the actual production, it can catch you off guard a little bit. Nonetheless, it is quite riffy. It's very catchy. A lot of the songs stand out uniquely on their own. But yeah, the whole like being recorded in a very small room and the reverb dialed up that much, I don't know, it kind of took away from it as much as it helped put into it. So yeah, overall 3 stars, and if you're into any of the bands that we've mentioned, I would even throw in Phobophilic and a little bit of Knoll. If you're into any of that, give this a spin for yourself.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They're only 99 cents, and our lone perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will probably do sometime next month, probably middle, maybe later in October. Either way, we will let you know when we decide to do that. Either way, membership's the main way to support the channel, and there is a join button down there for you to hit, and, you know, be careful touching that button. Who knows? Maybe the dude from Abraded, you know, fucking hawked a loogie on it. I feel like phlegm was sprayed all over that fucking studio.
So maybe put on some gloves before you smash that button. Or don't. You don't have to. I understand how phlegm can probably be a turn-off. I don't know if I would touch a phlegm-covered button. More tests are needed. But anyway, if you decide not to do it, it's cool. We do non-members-only live streams, which are just as dumb as the members-only live streams. Yeah, tons of discussions, tons of reviews, Nick's never-ending collection updates, all metal all the time. We do it for you guys because we appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a part of Thralls of Metal. Thank you for continuing to come and watch us bullshit about music and talk about silly shit. We appreciate you guys like you wouldn't believe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys absolutely roll. Tons of content coming your way. So one more big thank you because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.